Welcome back, focused learners. Today, we're tackling something truly fascinating. We're going to be decoding a dense, incredibly profound, ancient philosophical dialogue that completely reimagines how we think about human biology, consciousness, and ultimate spiritual peace. It's this classic, mind-bending piece of wisdom where a humble fowler actually explains the deep secrets of the universe to a highly educated Brahmana. So let's dive right in and see exactly how these ancient thinkers mapped out the human system. To get us started, we're going to ask the exact same question the Brahmana asks to kick off our source material. He asks, how does the breath of life animate the physical body? And honestly, it's the ultimate mystery, isn't it? How does a random combination of earthly elements suddenly become a living, breathing, thinking creature? Well, we are going to answer that question today using the exact framework laid out in this incredible ancient text. Here is our roadmap for today, taking us right from the micro to the macro. We'll hit the breath of life, the mechanics of vital airs, the eternal spirit within, the three attributes of life, and finally, the path to salvation. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, the breath of life. So, the text tells us right out of the gate that the soul isn't just some passive energy quietly floating around inside you. Not at all. The vital spirit actively causes the action of your physical frame. It is the ultimate animating principle. The text explains that the soul is present in both your physical body and the seat of consciousness. Essentially, it's the one driving the car. It's the absolute essence of the Supreme Spirit, housing your intelligence and ego, and it sustains all our connections to the outside world through what they call a subtle ethereal air. Which brings us to the actual machinery of how this works in Section 2, Mechanics of Vital Airs. What's just so brilliant here is how these ancient thinkers systematically deconstructed human biology into a system of 5 vital airs. First up, we've got Samana and Apana, and they manage the refuse of the body down in the intestines and rectum. Then there's Udana, which is all about effort, exertion, and physical power. Next is Vyana, operating at all the junctional points of your system. And finally, Prana, which is seated right at the navel and heart, interacting with all the other airs. And you have to understand, these aren't just poetic symbols. The text describes them as actual physical forces rushing through your arteries, carrying the essence of our food up, down, and obliquely all throughout the body. And here is how they all interact to literally keep you alive. When prana and the other airs collide, they create a massive reaction. Think of it like a biological furnace. This coalition generates internal heat right around your navel. And that heat, that's what causes the digestion of our food and actually drives the growth of the body. It's literally building the bones, the muscles, and the tissues. It's a completely dynamic view of human biology, where your breath and internal energies are constantly fueling a fire that sustains your physical form. Now that we've grounded ourselves in physical digestion, let's zoom out a bit for Section 3, the eternal spirit within. So hiding inside this biological machine is the eternal spirit. And the crucial point here is the text's sharp, definitive contrast between two completely different forces. On one side, you have the physical body, which the text bluntly describes as inert, insensible matter. On its own, it's nothing, just a vessel. But on the other side, you have the animating principle, the eternal spirit. The spirit is active in itself, and it induces activity in everything else. Even though it gets disguised by the physical body and its 11 allotropous conditions, the eternal spirit is the only thing making that inert matter come alive. But you might be wondering, how do they interact without the pure spirit getting totally corrupted by a messy physical body? Well, the text gives us this absolutely stunning visual metaphor. It says the divine spirit is related to the body in the same way as a drop of water to the sleek surface of a lotus leaf on which it rolls. Just picture that for a second. The water touches the leaf, it rolls right across it, but it never actually permeates it. It doesn't stain it, it remains totally distinct and pure. The text also compares it to a fire purified in its pan. Its course might get altered by its surroundings, but its core, eternal nature, completely untouched. Let's keep that in mind as we move to Section 4, the 3 attributes of life. So what specifically governs this life force? The text lays out a very specific hierarchy here, stating that the core attributes of all life are sattva, rajas, and tamas, which essentially translate to goodness, passion, and darkness. But it doesn't stop there. It tells us that life itself is an attribute of the spirit, and taking it one massive step further, the spirit is an attribute of the Supreme Spirit. So what we're looking at is an unbroken chain of existence, leading all the way back to the ultimate source. But recognizing that chain, that requires some seriously keen spiritual perception. which perfectly introduces a term you've definitely heard before, but maybe not defined quite like this: yoga. The text defines yoga simply and powerfully as the absolute renunciation of the material world. It's all about stripping away worldly desires and assuming a sort of stoic indifference to earthly suffering. But here's the fascinating caveat they throw in. A spiritual preceptor, a teacher, cannot actually grant you communion with the Supreme Spirit. No way. They can only give you a clue to the mystery. True yoga, true renunciation, that is a lonely path. You have to walk it and experience it entirely for yourself. And that leads us perfectly into our final stretch, Section 5, the path to salvation. How do we actually take all these concepts and turn them into actionable virtues? According to the text, the ultimate goal is to become a true sannyasin. And let me tell you, this is incredibly demanding. A sannyasin is a truly wise person who performs their actions without seeking any reward or blessing whatsoever. We're talking complete self-abnegation. You sacrifice your personal desires entirely to the requirements of renunciation. You aren't acting for good karma, you aren't acting for praise, and you definitely aren't acting for wealth. You act purely because it is right, with literally zero expectation of an earthly return. Now, this concept acts as a profound moral compass. Because you might ask, well, if I'm not acting for a reward, how do I even know what to do? The text says, sure, telling the truth is good, knowledge is good, but what conduces to the greatest good of all creatures is known as the highest truth. So the highest truth isn't just speaking a fact. It is a tangible action that creates the greatest good for all living things. It's about not doing harm, living in amity, and absolutely never avenging yourself on others. To help you get there, the text offers up a very specific toolkit to cross what it beautifully calls the sea of affliction and trouble. First, you absolutely must subdue avarice and anger. You have to preserve your righteousness from anger's evil consequences. It also lists leniency as the greatest of virtues and forbearance as the greatest of powers. Combine those with truthfulness and self-abnegation, and you've got a highly practical toolkit. These aren't just strict ancient rules, they're literal life preservers for navigating a difficult, messy world. And the ultimate reward for mastering this toolkit? Moksha, true salvation. The text says that a pure-minded person, through keeping a spare diet and practicing deep concentration in the quiet evening hours, can actually destroy the effects of both their good and evil actions. The illusion of ignorance is completely dispelled. You achieve this ultimate state of peace, which the text compares to a cheerful person sleeping soundly. And in that beautiful stillness, you behold the Supreme Spirit right inside your own heart, shining, as they put it, like a dazzling lamp. It is supreme, unalloyed beatitude. So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with one final thought, bringing that incredible ancient metaphor right into your modern life. If your truest self, your eternal spirit, is designed to roll through life purely, just like a drop of water on a sleek lotus leaf, what earthly attachments are you ready to let slide away? Seriously, think about the anger, the avarice, or the constant need for a reward that might be clinging to you right now. How can you embody that lotus leaf today? Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.